Hello class. This video is going to focus on 2.3, which is solving multi-step equations. The goal of this video is I can solve equations involving more than one operation. You want to open your textbook to page 85 where you will begin to take notes. So a multi-step equation is an equation that uses more than one property of equality to solve it. To solve this type of equation, you can undo each operation using properties of equality. Working backwards in the order of operation makes this process simpler. Each step in this process results in equivalent equations. So in order to solve multi-step equations, we are going to use PEMDAS, but we're going to use it backwards. So instead of starting with parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, we are going to start with addition and subtraction first, and then we focus on multiplication and division. So this is just showing us what is the opposite operation. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplication is division, and then the opposite of division is multiplication. And again, we always start with addition and subtraction when we're solving, and then we move on to multiplication or division. So this is on page 85. We use properties of equality to solve each equation, and then check your solution. So we have 2a minus 6 equals 4. So again, we always start off by doing addition and subtraction. So I like to put a box around my variable with the coefficient, the number that's in front of it. And then put a line down the equal sign. So that means I need to move this minus 6 away from my box. So in order to do that, I have to do the inverse. So the inverse of subtracting 6 is adding 6. And then whatever we do on one side, we also have to do on the other side of the vertical line. Okay, so once we do negative 6 plus 6, that's 0. So that's going to cancel out. And then we're going to bring down our 2a. And then on the other side of the equation, we've got 4 plus 6, which is 10. Okay, so that is step 1. Step 2, now we have to do our multiplication and division. So right now we have 2 times a equals 10. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to show that with my fraction bar. And then we want to divide by 2 because that's what we're trying to move away from the a. And whatever I do on one side of the equation, I do on the other side of the equation. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So those can cancel out and I'm left with a. And that's the whole goal, is to get a by itself. And then we have 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So we have a equals 5 for our answer. Now, to check that, I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to substitute it in for a in the original equation. So I'm going to do, let's see, check. So we've got 2 times 5 in place of a minus 6 equals 4. Let's see, 2 times 5 is 10 minus 6 equals 4. And then 10 minus 6 is 4, which does equal 4. So that checks and we're good. Okay, in B, we have the quantity n plus 1 divided by negative 2 equals 15. Now, this is kind of special. We want to start by getting rid of the fraction. So in order to get rid of the fraction, that fraction means division. So in order to undo division, we have to multiply. So we are going to start by multiplying by the bottom of the fraction. So we've got times negative 2 on both sides. So times negative 2. Okay, so once we multiply by negative 2, we've got negative 2 divided by negative 2, which is 1, and those cancel out. So we are left with n plus 1. On the other side, we've got 15 times negative 2, which is negative 30. So now we have n plus 1 equals negative 30. So that is now a one-step equation that we can solve. So I'm going to put a box here on my n, And then I would need to move the plus 1 to the other side. So the opposite of adding 1 is subtracting 1. And we got to do it on both sides of the equation. 1 minus 1 is 0, so that cancels out. Bring down the n. Negative 30 minus 1 is negative 31. So n equals negative 31 is our answer. Okay, and then we're going to check that by substituting negative 31 in place of n in our original equation. So we've got negative 31 plus 1 over negative 2 equals 15. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing negative 31 plus 1. So negative 31 plus 1 is negative 30 divided by negative 2 equals 15. And then negative 30 divided by negative 2 is positive 15. And that does equal 15, so we check. It's good. Okay, this is the check under example 1 on page 86. So solve 3m plus 4 equals negative 11. So I'm going to start by putting a box around 3m. I'm going to put a line down the equal sign. And then I need to move the plus 4 to the other side. So in order to do that, I'm going to do the opposite of adding 4, which is subtracting 4. And I'm going to do the same thing under the negative 11. Okay, so 4 minus 4 is 0, so those cancel out. I'm going to bring down my 3m, and then negative 11 minus 4 is negative 15. And now I have a one-step equation. Remember, this is 3 times m. So in order to undo multiplication, I have to divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with m. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. So m equals negative 5. And I'm going to check that really quick. So I'm going to substitute negative 5 into my original equation. So I've got 3 times negative 5 plus 4 equals negative 11. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Plus 4 equals negative 11. And then negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11, which does equal negative 11, so it checks. Okay, this is number 7 on page 89. So use properties of equality to solve each equation and check your solution. So I'm going to start by putting a box around the r divided by 9. And I'm going to put a line down the equal sign. So that means we need to move this positive 1 to the other side. So the opposite of positive 1 is negative 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. 1 minus 1 is 0, so that cancels. R over 9 is going to come down. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. So now we are going to move the 9 away from the r. So that is division right now. So in order to undo division, the opposite is multiplying. So we're going to do times 9 on both sides. 9 divided by 9 over here cancels, and we're left with r. 3 times 9 is 27. So r equals 27 is our answer. And then I'm going to check that really quick by putting 27 into the equation for r. So I have 1 plus 27 over 9 equals 4. I'm going to start with 27 divided by 9. So that is 3. Bring down the plus 1 equals 4. And then 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 equals 4, so that checks. Okay, this is number 9 on page 89. So I'm going to start by putting a box around the f divided by negative 7, and then put a line down my equal sign. And I need to move the minus 8 to the other side. So the opposite of subtracting 8 is adding 8. And then again, over here, I have plus 8. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0, so that cancels. Bring down f over negative 7. And then 2 plus 8 is 10. Okay, so now I have f divided by negative 7. So in order to move the negative 7 to the other side, I have to do the opposite, which is multiply by negative 7. And I do the same thing on the other side of the equation. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1. And I'm left with f. 10 times negative 7 is negative 70. So f equals negative 70. And then I'm going to check that. So I'm going to substitute negative 70 in for f. So I have negative 70. Again, I'm using the original equation, divided by 7, minus 8 equals 2. Negative 70 divided by negative 7 is positive 10. Minus 8 equals 2. And then 10 minus 8 is 2, which does equal 2. So that checks. Okay, that is the end of 2.3a. Remember, you need to get at least a 75 on the quiz for this video in order to move on.